Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. This is a recap of the official first day of ATD. So what I put out previously was the ALC conference, the Leaders Chapter Conference. Today was the first day of the ATD-ICE conference. Usually a relatively easy day. Today only had 3 sessions. So the first session dealt with AI. The second session dealt with artificial or augmented reality. And then finally, the last one dealt with how to build learning into the flow of work. So a lot of informal learning. So I was pretty jazzed about that. So kind of just a recap today. You know, we started out with the first question of, you know, what was the anxiety that folks were feeling about AI? And the presenters, and this was from Synthesia, Kevin Allister and Eli Henriksen. They presented in behalf of their company, but they pointed out that we're using AI already a lot. If we're using Google, you know, that's got AI built into it. Netflix. The fact that it recommends things, there's already AI. Which really led to the question, can AI take your job? Well, it can take your job if you don't really use AI, because AI is really going to impact your work. It just assume that it will. Various surveys, various articles, they shared a number of articles from the Wall Street Journal, other resources, other academic articles talking about AI. But 25% of the tasks could be automated in some way, either robotics or artificial intelligence. Primary duties, anything dealing with administration, lawyers are going to be hit in a big way. But about 300 million jobs are going to be affected or lost, changed, because of the use of AI. 80% of the workforce can expect that 10% of AI will impact their job. 19% of the workforce, they can expect up to 50% of their job, and those are those knowledge workers. So they kind of moved the conversation a little bit, talking about how we treat machines, you know, that we kind of humanize them. And I've already seen this with ChatGPT, how people approach it, that we try to give it, you know, kind of human characters to it. But, you know, in part of the AI, it is going to be really helpful for folks that are moving up in age, like me. Okay, we can use natural language processing to ask for things that we want more easily than we could before, when we had to code or use really technical skills. That AI will allow us to do things that maybe we couldn't do previously. So a lot of good things there. As far as your job, somebody who knows how to use AI will take your job if you don't take the time to learn how to use it. That's kind of the out on the street. So ways that they talk about using AI, you know, ways that you can get started. And this is really focused on talent development or training and development, is writing and rewriting or reformatting our training content. So I work with educators. This is something that they can do. They can make an open education resources very rapidly to help students. Being able to find examples and metaphors. Always looking for those examples. What's a good example for this? And ChatGPT can certainly help with that. Generating ideas for learning activities based on learning objectives. So if you have a learning objectives, you can punch them right into ChatGPT and ask for what are appropriate activities to measure those objectives. Email. I use this all the time. If I have to draft an email, I start with ChatGPT. It gives me a starting point. I make adjustments and then kick it out. And then also for Kevin gave an example of plan out next 3 tasks across the next 3 hours in 5-minute blocks. You know, basically scheduling what he needed to do at a certain period of time. So Eli, as part of this conversation, she was, you know, definitely looking at it from an instructional designer perspective. You know, the major things that she had to do with analysis, learning theory, modalities, and what she really pointed out is we tend to use the tools that we're comfortable with because we can do them quicker, and also that comfort level. But it may not necessarily be the appropriate tool for what learning needs to happen. So simply because we were able to do this easily doesn't mean it's the right thing. And with AI, it allows us to go to another level. They gave a lot of different tools that are using artificial intelligence, and I'll have to find the slide deck for that. But the one they really wanted to show off was their tool for starting with text, starting with an idea, and creating a video with a avatar, a talking head. This was pretty slick. They really easy to do, kind of like in a PowerPoint, that you can take different elements, put them in place, feed in your text that you want it to speak with, to turn into voice, and it would do it. And you can change languages and change the type of voices, change the avatars, and it would instantly make these changes. So that was really exciting to see. That variety of templates that you can use. You can incorporate screencasting. You can, based on the language, you can just change languages. So if you have a training set up, but now you have to turn it into Spanish or French or Russian, you can just put the language there and it automatically changes everything in the video that you need to change. So easy to create these videos. So that was something that you know, I was really interested in. So I'm going to have to look more about that particular tool. The second session that I sat in on was making augmented reality training a reality. This was from a company named Scope AR. Started off the conversation talking about futuristic. And I thought it was kind of an interesting conversation because a lot of things that we see as far off suddenly are closer to us than we thought. He provided you know, various examples. His example was watching the Olympics from the perspective he wanted to watch it from. So not just from what was being shown on television, but because there was cameras in all these different places, he could choose the perspective he wanted to watch. You know, the half pipe, that was his example. You know, other examples were football, that we're already using augmented reality in football because you got the yellow line that gets on the screen, you have other overlays that they can put on the screen that happen automatically, showing who has the ball, how many yards they need to go. All these things are being superimposed in real time, and just adding value to the real world, what was happening in the real world. Translation programs. I use a program, Google Translate, that I can show it at a screen and I can change it from one language to another. Using an example, if you're in a foreign country, you need to read signs, you need to read a menu, that it can make these translations. And, you know, demonstrating an example of AR, augmented reality, is Pokemon. And that's a game where the game is superimposed onto a screen, but it's happening in the real world. With this AR, what they primarily do, they do a lot of work with corporations, manufacturing and such, that they can basically overlay instructions. So IKEA was an example where you can use your phone, look at pieces that are on the floor, and it will explain, you know, show you how to put the pieces in the right places. And you know, that's happening in manufacturing in a lot of different ways. What this does is it reduces error rate, it allows workers to get things done correctly the first time. They don't have to do a lot of rework. The training time is reduced. It allows them to train in their location. They don't have to go somewhere special in order to train. So lots of benefits to this. But this is, you know, this is quite high tech. Their products currently work on tablets, on smartphones, but also wearables. And, you know, that's probably the, as he said, the next thing that's coming, where you're going to see a lot of wearable glasses that have the kind of the heads-up display in the glasses. So I thought the presentation, they could have done a lot more with actually showing real life. He showed one real example, somebody holding up an iPad and, you know, seeing what was there. He had a lot of still images, but I think it could have been made more valuable if there was a lot of videos of, you know, real life examples, or being able to cast his laptop or iPad, you know, showing this in real life. So that's just my criticism. The last presentation that I went to was 4 steps to building learning into the flow of work. And this is from Herman International. And they were using whole brain learning, and that's what they were talking about. But they had a really cool exercise at the beginning. So they had these cards that were broken up into, you know, kind of into 4 pieces. You had a yellow, a blue, a red, and a green one. But they also had a bowl of candy, and that bowl of candy, they also corresponded to the colors, right? So I had a Hershey's Crunch, or Nestle's Crunch, that was in a blue wrapper. They had yellow peanut M&Ms that were in the yellow wrapper, and Andy's Mints in the green wrapper, and red was 10,000 Grand Bar, and that was in red. And so based on that, they gave me questions, and that was how they kind of divided up the questions and divided up the groups. It was kind of interesting. It was kind of cool. They showed some, you know, talked a little bit about how the brain, it makes, you know, sense of patterns, and different people, you know, kind of gravitate to, you know, one direction or another. You know, some people want to know the why, some people want to know the what, the how, and the who, you know, and, you know, that we are naturally selective in that direction. And so, you know, we have to make sure that the training that we're building has to be diverse, and it takes care of those cognitive diversities in there. So the cards serve many purposes. We used it for voting, which, you know, just a nice idea. But then they, you know, they started talking about work, you know, how work has changed, how learning and work has changed, that we are in a state of flux. We're constantly changing. The speed of change is increasing. There's new ways of working. You know, we work hybrid, we work face-to-face. We are continuously upskilling, right? We have to learn new skills that I've always talked about, in hardware, that we are constantly upgrading our computers, constantly upgrading the software on our computers, constantly have to learn new things all the time. And the pace of this is increasing. And also we're working more in teams. And all those dynamics means that we are continuously learning. And business leaders are recognizing the importance of learning. LinkedIn Learning has done some research on this, and therefore, as somebody in learning, training, and development, we have some security in our job. What employees are spending a lot of time learning. They're spending, at least 60% of the day, that are involved. 60% indicated that they're doing training at least once a day. And this is not formal training. This is not going to a classroom, having an instructor, but this is learning something new, which really dives into that informal learning, which is what I like. And we need to make sure that we're setting aside time in order for folks to do that, but also make resources available to help learners be able to do that. Benefits are that heavy learners who are spending at least 5 hours a week, are more engaged, more productive, have less stress. Just a lot of benefits that help the workforce. So we need to make sure that we're allocating time to do that, encouraging time from the leadership down in order to do that. Our normal ways of learning, using Google, using YouTube. They mentioned ChatGPT, so I was thrilled to make sure, and that's how we're doing things. So how can we make these type of resources available the same way? This is something I've advocated for, being able to work out loud, putting resources together. Workers just want to be able to learn at their speed, just in time learning. So 58% want to learn at their own pace, 49% want to learn in the flow of the work. What else here? Just building culture of continuous learning, right? One of the thoughts that came to me was, they were talking about building playlists that are appropriate. I certainly think this is good for, the different disciplines that we have, is to build a playlist, on really specific topics and make those playlists available to others. One thing I saw that I thought was just a nice little hack is, as I was watching their slide presentation, I noticed down in the corner they had initials, and there was 2 speakers, and that's how they knew who was speaking to what slide, is based on those initials. I had not seen anyone do that before, and I just thought that was just a great idea. Then they got into their 4 steps of building a what the heck did they call it? Learning into the flow of work. So LIFO, learning into the flow of work. They emphasize, 4 different things. Emphasize or empathize with the learners, right? To really know what their needs were. Making sure that you define the problem. Think about different ways or different solutions, and then implement them, and just keep reinforcing that. So they gave some examples on how to do that in terms of different activities, and then also working with teams on how to do that as far as building a team. Lots of good stuff there. So yeah, really great presentation. Good day, all in all. The first day is always a little slower. That different 3 sessions. Tomorrow morning, first part of the day, starting off with Adam Grant and going from there. So I'll probably be hitting the expo to see all the different things in the expo and building a list from that. But good day, got to hang out with folks, got to chat, with different people, sat down and talked with the chair of our upcoming conference, the NEAC, and so got a long conversation with her. That was a lot of fun. So that's it. That's a wrap for the first official day of ATD-ICE. So join me tomorrow when I wrap up tomorrow's day. Bye for now.